What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. Today we're going to be talking about Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum in this week's UFC Fight Night. We're going to debate who we think is going to win and tell you everything you need to know, including betting odds. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick. Well, this is the final event in the UFC Apex Center. We are locked and loaded, ready to go, and we have a banger here with the final fight of the night being Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. And, this wasn't supposed to be the fight. So, what should we expect?
Yeah, we were originally expecting to have Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, and then Paulo Costa got sick. So now we have Kelvin Gastelum coming in on short notice to replace him. And after what we saw Gastelum do early this year, it looks like he's on a bit of an upswing. He's ready to get back in there, make it 2 wins in a row. I mean, if you look before hit this past win, he was on a 3-fight skid. And so now this is his time to really show what he's all about and why he should be in title contention. If you can beat a guy like Robert Whittaker, then everybody's going to be knowing your name once again. So huge fight for both these fighters. You could probably say this is a number one contenders fight, but either way, it should be really, really good. When you talk about Robert Whittaker, he's an absolute monster. He has been on absolute revenge tour ever since he lost to Adesanya, lost the belt. And when you look at Whittaker, he wanted to get right back in there after the loss to Adesanya, get a rematch. Adesanya seems to have been evading him ever since then. He said he does not want to fight him. He doesn't deserve another shot because he already beat him once. Well, Robert Whittaker is now on a 3-fight win streak, and if he makes this 4, there is no question in my mind Dana White has to make this fight happen. Robert Whittaker is an extremely tough opponent for everybody else in the middleweight division. He's very strong on his feet as a striker. He's very strong on the ground as a wrestler. He has multiple black belts, and they all come in hand, and he really puts them all to work. When you look at Kelvin Gastelum, he can do both as well. He was a college wrestler. He's the former winner of The Ultimate Fighter. This guy has a lot going on, and he has shown through the years that he is also great as a striker as well. So both these guys are very versatile. No matter where it is, standing up on the ground, it's going to be a fun fight to watch because both of them are very skilled. And so it could really be a toss-up. But right now, I look at this and I say Robert Whittaker has had 3 fights in a row compared to Gastelum's 1. And Whittaker just overall has been the more dominant victor over the course of his career, where Gastelum is up and down. He'll win 2, lose 1, win 1, lose 2. And Whittaker has lost the 1 to Adesanya, but pretty much dominated the rest of his UFC career. So Robert Whittaker, I think, is looking pretty sharp in this one.
Yeah, both of these guys are coming off of wins, and they have a lot to prove. Gastelum is looking to move up from the 8 seed at the middleweight division, and Robert Whittaker, you talked about it. He is looking at Israel Adesanya and saying, "You can't evade me forever. I'm coming for that belt." And this is it. This was supposed to be Paulo Costa. You talked about that. Just because it's Kelvin Gastelum doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve the fight. Like, he has to go through another guy just to get to the belt. He can't help that Paulo Costa contracted COVID. That's just where we are in today's world. So he gets Kelvin Gastelum. They both had full camps. They're ready to go. And at this point, I believe that when you take a look at it and what they can do, Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum both do the same thing, but Whittaker just does it so much better. And this is my opinion. I believe he's the better striker. I believe he's the better grappler. I believe that overall he's a better all around fighter right now. And Gastelum still has a lot to work up to. So this is a big test for Gastelum. I take a look at the tail of the tape. Robert Whittaker comes in at 6 feet tall, obviously 185 pounds. His reach is 73.5 inches, and his leg reach is 43 inches. Kelvin Gastelum comes in at 5'9", so he's already missing 3 inches. His reach is 71.5 inches, and then his leg reach is 39.5 inches. So he's already coming from a disadvantaged side. But when you take a look at their history and all the fights that they've come to, their stats are pretty much the same. About 41 to 43% of their fights are finished by knockout, about 22 to 24% by submission, and 35% by decision. So these guys, they can do everything. They've shown it time and time again, and I think it's going to be a really good fight for these two.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold Kelvin Gastelum's size against him. I mean, when you look at smaller fighters, they just have more power behind them. If you look at Michael Chandler, he may be small, but he's a guy that everybody fears because of his power. And so Kelvin Gastelum's got solid punches and a lot of power behind them. And so it's something to fear for Whittaker. He's got to make sure to keep his distance, use the 2 inch reach that he has, and just use it to his advantage. Try to keep that distance and work in his range and stay out of Kelvin Gastelum's. And then if it goes to the ground, fight. If it goes to the ground, height is taken completely out of the factor. Reach is taken out of the factor. Then it's just up to who's the more skilled grappler. So I think it's going to be a fun fight to watch. I do expect this to have some moments on the feet, on the ground. It's going to be all over the place. I do think this is going to go the distance, but I think Whittaker is going to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Whittaker as well. And I do think it's also going to be going the distance. I believe that Robert Whittaker will probably end in a decision. He'll be the victor. And it wasn't as impressive of a fight for Robert Whittaker to now challenge for the belt. That's exactly what I foresee Israel Adesanya saying. But like I said, he can't just run away forever. So Robert Whittaker, I believe, will come out on this fight. Uh, Taking a look at the betting odds, though, I'm taking a look at our friends over at DraftKings, and it looks like Robert Whittaker is the favorite at minus 280. Kelvin Gastelum comes into this at a plus 215. And the odds favor under 4.5 rounds. So pretty close, but they're saying about the fourth round. By the fourth round, this fight should actually be over. They don't really think it's going to get into the championship rounds, which will be interesting because if that's the case, I think that one of these guys would have to be absolutely dominant in their performance to get that done. Neither one of these guys have a soft chin. Neither one of these guys are willing to give it up on the ground. So I believe that there is a lot more here that needs to be said in the octagon. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.